Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 99. Oh my God, of FPL BlackBox. No Mark this week. He is unfortunately off with work-related stresses, but we've got a pretty good replacement. Would you say, Andy? In you? Would you class yourself as a good replacement for Mark?
Yeah, I mean, I always beat Mark these days in overall rank, so who wants to listen to him anyway, right? And I'm doing better again this year, so it should be good. Like you said earlier, it's been a long time since we did a video together, right?
It has, yeah. I had to look back through the old episodes, and it was February the 22nd, I think, that we did one, 2022. So yeah, over a year ago. So yeah, it's been quite a while. And I have invited you on since, but you said to me, 2 hours, F that. That was your reply, I think. But
It was almost the same this time as well, but I felt, I thought I'd help you out.
very, very, very kind. How you doing anyway? Everyone probably knows who you are from YouTube. A lot of people know you as Slippers from this channel. That nickname has really stuck, hasn't it?
Well, it has for this channel, yeah, not anywhere else.
Do you not get it on your channel?
I see the old comment, but not that often. Not that often.
Such a stupid,
every now and again. I think I got bought slippers for Christmas, but I just don't. The funny thing is, they've just been sat in my bedroom since then because I don't wear slippers. I just don't. No. I always wear socks, so I have actually got some now. They just don't get used.
The best bit of that nickname was you weren't even wearing slippers on that stream that you came on.
No. No, I'm just wearing regular old clothes.
Absolutely ridiculous. Well, we've got quite a lot to talk about. We're both in a bit of we were talking just before we came on, we're both in a bit of a kind of a haze after the international break, and with all the new doubles and game weeks and everything, trying to work out, we've got chips that are playing, and I've seen you on Twitter talking about -12s and hits galore, and
that was all for show.
Was it?
That's all for show.
all to get the ratings. Yeah, I'm seeing people, talking about it though. I think the bench boost is still, people are still looking to play this. So I think 34 is tempting a few people. We're going to talk a bit about that kind of as we go. But I think the general aim for a lot of people who've still got that chip is to play it this week. So yeah, we'll talk about the players on that and which ones to advise. We've got loads of stats, kind of as always, as well, and some different chip strategies and things as well. Before we go on though, impactors, I've called this one because bench, coming off the bench. Arteta said he doesn't want his subs to be called substitutes anymore. Wants them to be called impactors. What do you think of
that? That's just the thing. I can't remember where I heard that first. It wasn't from Arteta. Maybe it was. I don't know if it was in football or not.
I thought he'd pioneered it.
No, someone else. I'm sure it was a football manager. Basically, said a very similar thing. So basically, they're not substitutes. They're like game changers or whatever.
It's like Ted Lasso type comment, isn't it?
Maybe that's where it's from. Oh yeah, a finishers. Someone saying Eddie Jones rugby. Someone saying, I can't remember where I heard it from, but I've heard it before. Yeah, that you make them feel a bit better about sitting on the bench for 80 minutes. I guess.
Do you think that works? I mean,
maybe. I mean, at the end of the day, they're footballers, aren't they? They still want the start rather than the benching. But I guess psychologically it might help a little bit.
I have to ask FPL Raptor what he thinks.
Yeah, you know more.
Right, before we get into any of the FPL stuff, I just want to talk quickly about our sponsor for this episode, which is NordVPN. A lot of you are familiar with NordVPN sponsor. Have been sponsoring BlackBox this season, which has been absolutely amazing. And I know a lot of people have really tried them out and are using it and get some good feedback on that. So yeah, keep it going. They're an excellent VPN to use. If you don't know what a VPN is, a VPN allows you to hide your IP address, a location, which increases your privacy online. You can connect to different countries and get their programs, including football or different streaming services. There's 60 countries to choose from, so you can access all of their stuff. It's an absolute must-have if you're using public Wi-Fi, where there's an increased risk of people spying on your online activities, accessing your personal information, and infecting your device with malware. As I said, NordVPN will hide your IP address and location, which helps increase your privacy online. You can secure all your devices, PC, laptop, and phone, or you can set up a new router to protect your whole household. Why Nord? Well, it's the fastest VPN out there. Won't slow you down if you're streaming or gaming. It's the best reviewed VPN out there as well. And it's also got threat protection, which is a security solution designed to defend you from everyday online cyber threats. It scans your files when you're downloading them, identifies threats and blocks them before they infect your computer. So it's got 24/7 support and a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you like the sound of all that, go to nordvpn.com/scout. There's a link in the description below, and it's completely risk-free with a 30-day money-back guarantee. But yeah, thanks a lot to Nord for sponsoring BlackBox and helping us improve our tech and our microphones and Mark's shed and all that kind of stuff. I think you watch Columbia.
It's a great shed.
It's a nice day. It's a great shed. Yeah, it's kind of gathering dust, I think, at the moment because he's working all the time. But yeah, hopefully he'll be back soon. I don't even want to go into this next bit, but let's do it anyway. Last game week. Oh, Jesus Christ. I've had some bad game weeks this season, right? But I think last game week was right up there. And then you got the break on top of it. And no one had a really good game week, right? Like, a few people escaped with like a small green arrow or something like that, and were quite happy. Maybe there was some fairly decent scores. But if you captain Saka, you got his 18 points doubled. You probably got a small green, something like that. I didn't captain Saka. I captained Ivan Toney at home to Leicester.
Ouch, not even Kane.
Not even Kane, not even the middle of the road option. Tony blanked. I bought in Watkins for Nonto, which I thought was an absolute no-brainer. Nonto got an assist and so did Watkins, so they match each other. And I bought in Chilwell for Tarkowski for a hit, which I was sort of umming and ahhing for ages, but in the end I thought, I'm going to get Chilwell. I want him long-term. I can't see Everton scoring in that game. Well, not only do Everton score in that game, Tarkowski gets a bloody assist, doesn't he?
That was all that Chilwell. Like, I think Chilwell, it just started ramping up into this player that everyone just wanted to get. I did the same. I didn't do the same move, but I got him in as well. So it felt just inevitable that he would lose the clean sheet in the end. I think he actually played really well as well in that game. So on another day, it could have gone a lot better. But yeah, I think a lot of people did what I did and sold a Brentford defender, and they ended up getting 2 points. They actually doubled Chilwell's score. So all around just wasn't great.
It's solving, isn't it? When something looks too good to be true. When you've got a game like Chelsea versus Everton, where you just think there's no way Everton, they just can't score away from home. I went in with a double Chelsea defence. I was feeling really confident about it, and then it was just a nightmare. And I was feeling good about the Tony captain because I just thought, Arsenal had played in that Europa League game. Got to 120 minutes. I thought they might be a bit leggy. I wasn't really liking Spurs at that time. I thought this is the chance for a bit of a differential, and it's kind of worked for me in the past. I remember I've captained players like Trossard before when there hasn't really been a clear favourite, and he's done well. But this was a complete disaster when the preferred captain gets 18 and Tony gets 2. So miserable game week for me. It's undone a lot of good work as well because those 18 points are kind of points I've clawed back over the last few weeks. So yeah, pretty rough. You got about the same as me because you got 59. But you captain Saka. So that's your 18 points, basically, on me. Pretty similar teams. We've both had the double Chelsea defence, both double Newcastle, Kane, Watkins, Tony. And the difference is you went for Saka, right?
Yeah, so I made 2 transfers as well, but I had 2 free transfers. So I did, I can't remember what his name is now, Rico Henry to Chilwell, and Watkins in for, I can't even remember. The same move that everyone else did. Oh, Haaland now, of course.
Oh,
How
yeah.
could I forget that?
Wow. Yep.
Yeah, so I got Watkins in. There was a brief consideration for Havertz, but I went for the guy with Bournemouth and Forest at home in the next 3 weeks. So yeah, it was a bit rubbish. But I got to be honest, on Saturday, that whenever Kane was playing, that was the same. Oh, sorry, just before England were playing Ireland in the rugby. So I was at the pub with really bad signal. I was just trying to refresh Discord and Twitter. Just please don't score, Kane. Then around the 60th minute he scored. I thought, well, that's typical.
Yeah.
I thought it'll be on 3 bonus points because that is Kane. And then I just kept seeing the Southampton goals roll in, thinking, well, hang on a second. Ward-Prowse is that type of player that when he gets a return, he probably gets bonus as well. So I was watching his bonus drop. So to finish on 6, I felt quite good with Saka captain still to come. And obviously then it's just all about getting that bit of luck to get a big swing of 12 points. So yeah, Saka's good. And it makes me question why I'm even thinking about selling him this week. But I guess we'll come on to that later.
Yeah, I'm doing the same.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have to do it eventually, but yeah, whether or not this week is a good move, we'll discuss that later, I guess.
I guess it's a bit less terrifying for me because I've lost Haaland as well, and if I sell Saka, I can get them back on the wild card potentially going forward. Whereas if people are selling Saka as well and they've already sold Haaland, then suddenly you could be a few weeks in and be panicking, having to massively rejig your whole side. So yeah, we'll talk about that, selling the Arsenal assets and things. Kind of as we go. It's funny though you mentioned about those Kane, because I was doing exactly the same thing when Kane scored. When he scored, I just kind of gave up on the game. I was just like, oh, there we go. Tony's might get 1, but Kane's going to go on and get 2 now, and Saka's going to go crazy, and it's going to be awful. And then I was watching the Southampton goals going, and I was checking his like BPS on the website.
Same.
Oh god, it's why do we do it to ourselves? It's so sad. Like trying to
I was
explain that to someone.
I was literally in the pub with the wife and kid, and obviously they're Irish, so I'm in an Irish pub, and there's loads of Irish people obviously expecting to beat England, which is what happened. And I was like, I'll just check my phone once more when it kicks off, just to double check. And basically, what I was going to check was the bonus points. So I did. About 5 minutes into the England Ireland game, I was checking to see where Kane was at. So when he finished on 6, I was pretty happy because I knew I had Saka to come.
But like everyone says, we don't like all the people joining. There's the content creators are making it all difficult and all this. Like, no, we're creating more losers like us, so we feel less bad when we're checking like bonus point scores. Be happy.
Yeah, exactly.
People should be praising
for that extra 1 or 2 points, basically.
Oh
that's it, or 3, I guess, in Kane's case.
Oh, so bad. Anyway, that was last game week. I honestly, I'd kind of erased it from my memory until looking back at it today. So anyway, let's move on from that. There are interesting things ahead. Thank you, as always, to Ben Krellin for his brilliant schedule that he does. We have now got confirmed doubles in game week 34. Before we come to that though, game week 29 is the biggest double we're going to have between now and the end of the season, and it features Villa with 2 away games against Chelsea and Leicester, Bournemouth, the lesser spotted Bournemouth, with Fulham and Brighton, both at home. Slanky, I'm seeing a few slanky mentions lately. Brentford with 2 away games, 2 tricky away games in Brighton and United. Brighton with arguably the best double of the game week, Brentford at home, and then Bournemouth away. Chelsea with 2 home games, Villa and Liverpool. Leeds with Arsenal away and Forest at home. Leicester's the other really good double, I think. Palace away and then Villa at home. Liverpool with really weird, tricky 2 away games at City and Chelsea. United, Newcastle away, Brentford at home. Newcastle with United and West Ham. Forest without Brennan. We think Wolves at home and Leeds away. And finally, West Ham with 2 home games against Southampton and Newcastle. What's your kind of take on this? I mean, what kind of teams stand out for you straight away?
Yeah, I think when you couple everything else that's going to happen for the rest of the season, Brighton, there's no reason not to be tripling up on them, especially if you've already wildcard. I think the double looks great. They got 3 more to come. It's absolutely insane the amount of fixtures that Brighton are going to have before the end of the season. I think the one team that kind of stands out as a team I'm probably not going to target, but for 29 specifically, that could be punt worthy, is probably West Ham. Southampton at home and Newcastle at home on paper is not too bad. Danny Ings, possibly Jared Bowen, Ben Rama, someone like that. But I think as long-term picks, they're probably not quite it. I think one of the problems with these double game weeks is there's just too many of the same team doubling for the rest of the season. So you're kind of pigeonholed into the players you should probably be looking at, which is kind of a little bit less interesting than last season when, I don't know if you did it, but a lot of us free hit in 37 because there was teams we didn't care about outside of game week 37. Whereas this season, whichever double you free hit in, you're probably going to be targeting very similar players anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, even teams that have a double this week and then not in 34, like Newcastle, they've got Southampton at home in 34. It's not exactly a bad single game, but you're going to be desperately trying to ship them out. So Brentford as well, they've got Forest at home in 34 as well. Because I'm going to show you some bench boost teams I was putting together earlier, and I've still got my Brentford and my Newcastle players on the bench because why not? They've still got that good game in 34, and like you say, teams like United, Brighton, Liverpool as well. And these are teams with and even West Ham. They're not special this week because they've got another double in 34. I mean, West Ham are interesting because it is two home games. Newcastle were a kind of a tricky to predict side how that's going to go. They haven't been as good defensively, but that Southampton game does look good. You mentioned Danny Ings. He's someone that no one's going to have, right? But I like him. I like him this week.
Yeah, if I was free hitting this week, I would. I'm not someone that really goes out of my way to be completely different or on a free hit. If I've got the same team as everyone else, I don't really care. But I feel like if you're going to free hit this week, for example, then West Ham players, maybe at least one, just something a little bit different. I'm not saying like I would still have triple Brighton. I'd probably have 2 or 3 Man United, etc. All the picks that everyone else is going to have. But yeah, someone like Danny Ings or a midfielder possibly, just as like a bit of a punt. I mean, they do have another double in 34. The problem is they got to play Arsenal and Liverpool before that, and one of the games in that double in 34 is Man City. So long-term picks, I just don't really see it. But as a one-off, especially like if you're someone that's going to wildcard soon after 29, you could go for it as a punt or something like that.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk through some of those players. I mean, I was looking at like Areola, for example, and thinking maybe he's someone that I could look at. But then I think Fabianski's back, or it just creates a bit of doubt, doesn't it?
Yeah, someone said that to me recently. He might be back. So yeah, he's only like orange flag now, like 50%. So he must be close-ish to coming back. I mean, a lot of West Ham fans probably tell you Areola's the better player anyway. So maybe he'll just keep his place. But it's just whether or not, like, our West Ham goalkeeper's that good, it's worth taking the risk on him losing his place. Especially when we've seen Ward lose his place, Sanchez lose his place. It's just, it's probably worth just going a bit safer.
Always at the worst possible times as well for both of those you just mentioned.
Some people had both. Some people had both. Like, how unlucky can you get?
I know. Well, Ward losing it just really annoyed me on the bench boost. I imagine a lot of other people as well, because now I've got to make a goalkeeper transfer, which means I might not be able to, move to a Maddison or something unless I take a hit. So, yeah, I found that really annoying. For 34, in case people weren't aware, it's another double for Brighton. 2 home games, Wolves and United. I like that, actually. It's another 2. I mean, the fixtures around that are awful. I mean, you've got Spurs away in 30, Chelsea away in 31, then a blank in 32, and then Forest away in 33. So, I mean, what do you do with Brighton players over that period? Do you just bench them? Do you sell one and bring one back? What's your plan? You've got 3.
Yeah, so I'm basically committing to free hitting in 32. So that week doesn't really matter. So it's only really Spurs away and Chelsea away. And I think because I think for anyone that's like recently wildcarded into a bench boost for this week, then you've got 15 playing players. So my plan for 30 and 31 is to bench Eshapina. He's a defender, right? It's easy to kind of hide him on the bench and probably just play one of March and Matoma and just bench the other one, and that'll be it. And I think that's probably fine, to be honest, for just those 2 weeks. Because from 33 to 38, there's 6 game weeks, and 3 of them are double game weeks for Brighton, which is absolutely mad. And the other ones are like Villa away, Everton at home, Forest away. So like I'd happily play all 3 of my Brighton players in every single game week from 33 to the end of the season if I had to. So yeah, I think the Spurs away and Chelsea away is not necessarily great, but it's worth just having them for that because of how much other good stuff they give you outside.
I think attacking wise, it's not awful, is it? It's not.
No, if I had to play one,
yeah,
exactly. I'm not really worried about them to play one, to be honest.
Yeah. Fulham have got a double in 34. Mitrovic, I mean, it's going to be 5 games since his ban. We don't know how big his ban's going to be yet, do we? But it could be 10.
Yeah, I'd be really surprised. Like, obviously, it'll be 3 anyway. I'd be really surprised if it's not extended past that. But we just don't know. But even if he does play, like, it's Man City at home and Liverpool away. It's not. I know Liverpool haven't always defended great this season, but it's just not. It's not great. But then they do have some pretty good fixtures afterwards, and I don't think around that time there's a huge amount of cheap forwards that are going to be essential anyway. So you could just take the punt on him for the double, and then just hold him for the single game weeks after that, possibly.
I mean, the usefulness you might get out of it is someone like a Pereira maybe, or a Vinicius, as a cheap kind of option if you're going to be using the bench boost that week. But yeah, it's a pretty nasty. Doesn't get much worse than that, does it? City and then Liverpool. Liverpool have got 2 home games, Spurs and Fulham. There's going to be a lot of investment in Darwin's going to be coming back, isn't he? Trent as well, probably coming back in for that. Salah, you going to go back?
Yeah, definitely. He's in my plan. I've even thought about him this week. I'm definitely getting Salah for that. What's going to be interesting, I know we're going to talk about captaincy later. I'm finding it really hard to kind of differentiate my team. I wonder if captaincy is going to be the way to possibly do it if you need to claw back a lot of rank. And I think game week 34, as you're going to say in a second, Man City have got that double. Everyone's going to go Haaland. So could 2 home games Salah be the slight differential there? Maybe. The problem with Darwin is I think Luis Diaz is back in training now. So by the time we get to 34, and if no one gets injured, you've got Diaz, Gakpo, Darwin, Firmino, Jota, and Salah. So you've got 6 players for those 3 spots. And Salah's the only one that's really...
No Champions League as well, so trying to keep them all
Exactly.
happy. And
I think Salah's the only one you can pretty much guarantee to start every game. So I originally was looking at how can I get Trent, Darwin, and Salah, but now, to be honest with you, if I triple up, it'll probably be double defense. I think Robertson and Trent, like the old days, even though they've been really poor. I think that's the only way to get guaranteed minutes out of them, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously don't wish for any injuries, but we knew that when Liverpool had a fully strong squad. I mean, I don't even know what the first choice front three is when they're fully fit.
I think
because he likes Jota, right? But he seems the most obvious one just to never play. But
I feel like Darwin is part of Klopp's first choice 11. I feel like he is, but it doesn't mean that he's going to go and play 90 minutes twice. Even if he starts both games, he's probably coming off at like 60, 65. So I feel like the front three is Salah, Darwin +1. But when you've got 6 players to keep happy, I mean, look, Diaz has been out for a long time. If he's only just back in full training, he might still be building up fitness by that point. But he's still an issue, right? You still need to get him on the pitch at some point. And the only way to do that now is in the league because there's no other fixtures, like you said. So, yeah, I mean, look, even Salah could get brought off early if the game's won. But if the game's won, I guess you hope that he's been involved.
Just for anyone not aware, Andy had Salah for 26 game weeks and then decided to sell him in a very unoptimal move.
25 game weeks.
25, or was it 25 game weeks? In a very unoptimal move just before he hit his predictable 20 points. I mean, who didn't see that coming?
21. Oh my God, I couldn't believe. I've been on the wrong end of Salah and Haaland so too many times this season. It's absolutely killed me.
Yeah.
Absolutely killed me.
I mean, when Mark and I did the podcast on it, and there was people saying they'd sold. They'd done the Havertz captain last year, against Norwich, and got rid of Salah, and then again sold Salah this week. It's like
the worst. The worst thing for me is I've had weeks and weeks of people telling me I'm an idiot for having Salah. Then everyone gets him for the double. I sell him, and then after he gets 21 points, I get a load of comments. Well, obviously he's got a great record against Man United. What are you doing? And then he misses a penalty against Bournemouth, and I've mentioned that I'm going to look to get him back. And now it's, what are you doing getting Salah back? Whereas if he'd scored that penalty, I think he would have returned in 5 or 6 games in a row, or 5 or 6 games.
I've got him. Yeah. I feel like I'm the only one with him. I feel like everyone's got rid of it. I feel like you now. I feel like I'm Let's Talk FPL. But
big differential this week.
It is a bit different, and he's got a good record against the big sides this season. But yeah, strange one. He's going to be he'll be the overwhelming captain choice, I imagine, money that week. So I think people will be looking to get him in, or it'll be Fernandes. United. Same this week. Fernandes or Rashford, with Villa and Brighton. In that 34.
Well, 34. I expect Haaland will be the captain because he's got Fulham away, West Ham at home. But I think if you're looking, if you're looking outside of Haaland, then my immediate thought is a Liverpool attacker. I think. Yeah, I mean, we'll see if I got the balls to go through with it.
Well, City were an interesting one that week in general because there's Haaland there, but not really anyone else. I mean, another player who's burnt has been Ederson, isn't it? He's been like one of your absolute villains.
I'm going back to him soon
this season. I mean, Ake getting 2 goals for Netherlands the other day. Might be a sign of things to come potentially, but still never really sure about his minutes. And you look at the rest of the Foden's kind of come back in, but he's lost that trust now with us. I think Mahrez was like peak of his powers at City and he just got dropped straight away. Grealish is a little bit tempting, I think, but he's just not getting the returns. I don't know. It's kind of Haaland or you're right. It's a good double, but who'd you go for other than Haaland?
I think it'd be interesting. But by the time we get to game week 34, they would have played the next round of the Champions League. So they got Bayern Munich. So there is a chance they go out of the Champions League. If that happens, I don't know if that makes it better or worse, to be honest, because then they've only got the Premier League. Oh, I guess they got FA Cup as well. But if they go out, maybe that makes, I don't know, certain defenders more likely to play every game. I don't know, like Diaz, Stones, if he's fit, players like that. But I'm still just not sure it's going to be worth the hassle because other teams also have a double. So it's not like it's just Man City. Like Foden, for example, is out at the moment. If he's still out by game week 34, maybe that makes Mahrez a better option. But what if Bernardo Silva plays on the right for one of the games? It's just this always happens with Mahrez. He's brilliant. Like you said, he's playing every game. And then all of a sudden, he's just not in the team because Foden's back in, and now he's out. So maybe Mahrez comes back in. But I'm so sick of Man City players, like just losing their place, winning their
know.
place. It's just so I'm probably going to go back to Edison, even though I've been stung twice this
God.
season. Honestly,
Well, I think with City, right? Like, I don't think City. I think Arsenal are going to do it. I think Arsenal are going to win the league this year, and I hope they do. To be fair, I'm bored of City winning it every year. I don't particularly like Arteta, but I do like what he's done with that team. But if City do end up winning it, they've got to be, from an FPL perspective, the worst winners of FPL of the Premier League from an FPL perspective, because it's just Haaland, isn't it? That's literally it all season. De Bruyne has been. I mean, De Bruyne is doing well in the points, but I had him for ages and he just wasn't getting anything. He's been disappointing. Then he's been kind of bit in and out the team. Foden dropping down like he did. We haven't had options like Gundogan or Grealish. The defence has been all over the place. Disappointing in Pep.
yeah, I think De Bruyne went really big I think when Haaland was going massive at the start, like 2 or 3 goals pretty much every game. That's when De Bruyne did really well too. And then I think once everyone started jumping onto him, that's when he all kind of went downhill a little bit.
Why does that happen so often?
It just does. It just does. Like, De Bruyne is so expensive as well this year for what he offers. So he's like, I don't think I've owned him all season. No. But yeah, I can't get too excited about Man City. Right now, I'm only planning Haaland and Ederson, and that is it.
Yeah,
but might change by the time we get there. Who knows?
Yep. The last two with double in 34 is West Ham. Again, like I mentioned, they've got Palace away and City away. I don't think there's going to be a huge amount of investment in them, but they've had a weird season as well. Let's take a look at bench boosts. So I've just stuck together a couple of teams here, which I'm not saying these are optimal bench boosts. I'm just saying these are probably...
I'll tell you if they're optimal.
You can tell me if they're... Well, this is what I think is going to be a typical bench boost 29, right? I think a lot of people are going to be something like steal an Arsenal defender, a Saka, and a Kane, something like that. That's going to be... It's going to be probably 2 or 3 single game week players, and then you'll probably take a hit and get another double game week goalkeeper in. This was a team that I put together. It's De Gea in goal, Trippier, Chilwell, Henry, Estepinian, Rashford, Maddison, Fernandes, March, Watkins, Tony. That's probably what I'd go for if I was going for a free hit team. I'd like another Brighton midfielder in there, but I think Rashford, Maddison, Fernandes, and Saka is kind of hard to argue with. If I was free hitting, I'd take Saka out and go for another Brighton mid, I reckon. But this is what I think is going to be the sort of template-ish bench boost.
Yeah, I don't think many people. Well, maybe Steele. I can tell you what mine is. It's Raya. If I make the moves, I'm probably going to make. It's Raya, Botman. That's the 2 double gaming players, and lots of people are going to have Raya left over from the double in 27.
De Gea's more kind of who I'd want if I was going to pick one.
No, sorry, I'm talking about the bench specifically. So, Raya, another double game week defender. Most people are going to have Botman. Some will have their Brentford defender left over, like Henry or Pinnock or whoever. And then it'll be, like you said, Saka and Kane, or an Arsenal midfielder and Kane. Yeah, that's what a lot of people are going to have. So 2 doubles, 2 singles, basically.
Let's go through some of the moves that people are looking at. So I'm seeing a lot of Zinchenko's to Shaw's. Let's assume for a hit, right? Zinchenko to Shaw for a hit. Would you do it?
Okay, so I'm in the same situation with Gabriel to Shaw, and I'm probably going to do it. Now, I'm not 100% sure it's worth a hit this week, but I do think it could pay off pretty quickly. And I feel like I think I saw someone tweet about this earlier. Basically, I know I'm going to do that move at some point, so I feel like the best time to do it is in the double.
That's how I felt about bringing Chilwell in for Tarkowski.
Like, it might backfire, but the thing is, this week Shaw's got 2 games. Now Gabriel's got Leeds at home, so could he get a clean sheet? Absolutely. And we know how good he is in the air as well, because I benched him when he played against freaking Fulham and scored the header. So he's great. I love Gabriel.
I need my bleep thing for that. Oh, swearing at 5 p.m. on a should have bench boosted in 27. But then straight away into game week 30, Arsenal have got Liverpool away. Now, I'm sure most people will say Arsenal are going to go and win that game. Fair enough. But I think Liverpool score, and Shaw's got Everton at home. So I feel like in 29 and 30, that -4 could be repaid. I'm a little bit worried about it because we all had the similar conversations about Martinez to Odegaard, and people never got repaid for that, even in the long term.
But I do think it'll work. And I think by the time you get to like game week 33 and 34, where Arsenal have got Man City away, Chelsea at home, and Man United have got a double game week, I just think eventually it will hopefully get repaid. I just think in this case, there's a chance of it getting repaid earlier. And I'd rather just do it in a double and just hope Leeds score.
Yeah, I'd do it.
Just get it done.
I'd do it as well. Arsenal defensively as well. They're not going to win this title by keeping clean sheets, are they? They're winning it by just scoring goals. I can see Leeds scoring.
Yeah. I mean, Leeds could score. I think the Arsenal defense is pretty great, but I'm not overly. In general, I'm not massively worried about not having definitely not having three Arsenal players for the fixture run they got coming up. Like, as good as they've been this year, and I'm sure they'll still win the majority of those games, the fixtures coming up are a lot harder than the ones they've had recently. So I feel like it's worth the risk, but I fully get why people don't want to do it. Because the thing is, I always say this, everyone always pictures the perfect result, and everybody is picturing like 5-0 Arsenal against Leeds. And I just don't think that's that realistic. Like, I think it's more likely to be like a 3-0, 3-1 or something like that.
Yeah.
So I agree. I think they can lose the clean sheet there and then still easily win the game. I just feel like it's worth the risk. I know Man United have got Newcastle away, Brentford at home, so you've got Isak and Tony, no Casemiro as well. But I feel like for a move I'm going to do anyway, I'd rather just do it in a double and just hope that you get that positive variance.
Very good. No comment. 3 clean sheets in the last 8 at Arsenal. Well, they're one of those teams that's just always doing well in the defensive stats, but I still just think teams can get them, and I just always think they need 2 goals, but they're just more than capable of getting them because of how good the rest of their team is. So you vote do it. I vote do it as well. Saka to 1 on Maddison or Fernandes. Would you do that?
I'm not sure about Maddison.
I think he's the best captain this week.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't know if I like that.
No,
it's difficult because Saka
that
goes
offended
straight.
you, if anything.
No. I'm thinking about it because Saka's got Liverpool away, but I think from an attacking point of view, it's probably better than defensive for sure. And I think Maddison's got Bournemouth at home in 30, but then he runs into Man City. So I don't know if I would do Saka to Maddison, but Saka to Fernandes, I'm probably going to do. So
You say the -12's not on. You're already on a.
No, hang on. It's okay. So basically, what happened was the original plan from game week 26 was Odegaard to Fernandes this week, but I then bought Chilwell for Henry, and I blocked myself from being able to do that and get Haaland back. Now I knew that when I did the transfer, so it's not like I did it and then I've realised. So now, if I want to do that move without taking loads of hits, it's got to be Saka to Fernandes, and I think I'm gonna do it. But it's a bit like Gabriel to Shaw. I don't know. I can see how it backfires. What I'll say about Saka is he's great. Right? I love the guy. Captained him last week. He's brilliant.
Good analysis,
right? That's what I'm on for. Right? He's been like my number 1 Arsenal pick for most of this season. But I do think the fact he just got 18 points is weighing on people's minds because before that, he blanked against Fulham. Yeah. Before that, he blanked against Bournemouth. And look, he was unlucky to blank in that Bournemouth game for sure. But I feel like if he got 18 points against Bournemouth and then blanked against Fulham and Palace, people wouldn't be so worried about selling him. I just think if you're ever going to sell someone like that, it's soon. Not necessarily for Leeds at home, but it's soon because the fixtures coming up are a lot worse. You ain't captaining Saka anytime soon. The only time over the next, I don't know, maybe even the rest of the season is game week 32. And I'm free hitting that week. So I can get him in and captain him if I want to anyway. So I'm pretty tempted to do the move for the same reason as Gabriel to Shaw, that I'm going to do that move at some point anyway. So I'm tempted just to do it now. But for what it's worth, if I could do it for Odegaard instead, I would absolutely keep Saka. Like, no question.
Interesting. So you would do Saka to Fernandes, but not to Maddison?
Yes, because for me, Fernandes, like, barring injury, Fernandes is someone I'll then keep for the rest of the season, right. Whereas Maddison would have to go pretty quickly. Like, I'd love Maddison for Bournemouth at home, but I think it just creates extra transfers down the line.
So you'd keep Fernandes and not bring Saka back in?
No, Saka might. I mean, Saka could come back in like a long time away, like game week 37, 38 maybe, but that's so far away. I'm not really. Yeah. The thing, if you're free hitting and let's forget game week 29 Leeds at home for a second. If you're free hitting in game week 32, Saka's fixture run is Liverpool away, West Ham away, Man City away, Chelsea at home. No double game weeks to cut. Then it's Newcastle away.
Yeah.
Now, I know I'm not even reading the comments. I know what people are going to say. Saka's great. He's done really well in the big games. He can score in it. He absolutely can. But when you want to target players, you don't look at the players that have got Liverpool away, West Ham away, Man City away, Chelsea home. That's not the fixture run you want. So it's not that he's now so bad you've got to get rid of him. But I think if you're going to take a chance on someone else, this is the time to do it with Arsenal's run. It could massively backfire. He's brilliant, like I said, like that great analysis. But I'm probably going to do it, I think. Probably going to do it.
I wouldn't do it.
I reserve the right to back out.
Yeah, no, well, you're locked in. You're locked in when you come to this and say things like that. I would maybe do Saka to I'm thinking of doing Saka to Maddison this week for a hit. But that's because I've got the wild card to play.
Yeah, I think... Yeah, sorry, I interrupted. I think people have really got to just realise that people have played their chips at different times. That's going to dramatically alter what they do. Like, I don't want Maddison because I'll have to get rid of him pretty soon, so it's another transfer. But if you're getting him for the double and then maybe keeping him for Bournemouth and then wildcarding out of it, that's completely different. And then maybe I'll be a bit more tempted.
I would expect Maddison, for example, to outscore Saka with Palace away, Villa at home and Bournemouth at home versus Saka with Leeds at home and then Liverpool away.
Yeah, it's the penalties. Do you know what the thing that's in my back of my mind? If we had a penalty taker for Man City that cost 8 million odd, and he was nailed to play every game and pretty much play 90 minutes every game, would we be thinking differently? Is there something subconsciously that's still telling us it's Arsenal so we can do it, even though they're top of the league and we all know that?
Then look at Salah with penalties. He's had one all season. Missed it.
I'm just so glad I didn't have him for that. But I know. And Saka's only had like 2, I think, but they're hard to predict. I mean, it might pay off over the next 3. But I don't think it's a good move for anyone that's already wildcarded necessarily.
Yeah, okay. So you'd say maybe to Fernandes, not to Maddison. I'd say with the wildcard to play, it's fine. Bring him back. I wouldn't. If I didn't have the wildcard, I wouldn't be sending Saka.
Sorry, someone just made a good point in chat. Well, they've said Maddison will be on penalties. I don't know if we can be that sure, but there is a chance. There is a chance Maddison will take penalties.
If I bring him in this week, I'll captain him as well.
Oh, really? You're definitely doing that?
Well, okay. No. I reserve the right.
But he might be on penalties because Vardy just doesn't play now, and Tielemans is injured, so we don't know who the next taker is.
Must be him, surely.
Has he Iheanacho, maybe?
Has he ever taken one? Have you ever taken one for?
Not sure.
I trust Maddison over Iheanacho, I think, if I was picking a penalty taker. Final one then, Kane. Kane out for one of the double game week strikers. I mean, there's not a huge amount of options. I mean, if you kept Haaland, you don't have Watkins, maybe he's the one to go for, or Havertz potentially, or Danny Ings.
Yeah, I've thought about this quite a lot, right?
Kane's record against Everton is so good, though.
For me, it's like if I could have one of Kane or Saka this week, it would be Saka. But the problem is, you can get Fernandes, who you then potentially keep for the rest of the season. Whereas any double game week forward I go for Kane is just not someone I'm that worried about having anytime soon. So I go for Solanke or Mbomo or Havertz. Iheanacho I wouldn't go for now because he missed the last game, was benched. So there's just not as many forwards that jump out at me to warrant removing him. Also, in the back of my mind, I'm pretending to myself that maybe in game week 31, I might captain him over Haaland because he's got Bournemouth at home. I mean, realistically, I'm just going to keep him all the way to 31. Then just. I mean,
there's always a chance that you won't be able to get Haaland back. If you've got other injuries to put out and things, and I don't know. I mean, I basically reserved this wild card to bring Haaland back in 100% in game week 30, but it's an away game. He hasn't been that impressive away from home anyway. I'm wondering if maybe I can hold out for one more week.
Southampton, though. I've seen I've seen people discussing like basically people that have sold him and don't have a wild card. I've seen them discussing, could we get away without him until game week 34? That's what because it's Southampton away. The thing is, Southampton away and Leicester at home is so good. I don't know. I think for me, Pep would have to really put doubts about whether he's going to be fit for game week 30. I really wouldn't like going without him, even if his home record's better.
He only got 6 points against them at home early in the season.
Yeah, but this is Haaland. It's Southampton. And look, Southampton defense is not like right down the bottom. It's not like they're the worst defense in the league, but Man City attack is just too good to ignore.
I don't know. I am 50-50 as to whether I'll move. I think what would be really annoying though is if a lot of people sort of change their teams around a lot this week, make it impossible for them to bring back in Haaland. I wildcard to bring Haaland back in, and then Haaland blanks, and everyone's teams do carry on doing really well.
I can tell you now that everybody that hasn't got a wild card is making sure they've got the money to get Haaland back. Like, that's all the discussions I've seen.
Well, they are until we get close to the deadline, then everyone starts thinking, maybe I do want Maddison, and they take that extra 2 million and they do it, and they go, oh no, I need that money to do Watkins back up.
The thing that would be interesting for game week 30 if you don't get Haaland back is who's your captain. Like, I don't. There's other, what I mean. Rashford against Everton at home, maybe Maddison against Bournemouth at home. Now he's 100%
Rashford. I think is one of the main arguments to not bring him back, because we've got that consistent player who's rivaling him every week for the captaincy anyway. 6, 7, well, not even that much. 10 weeks ago, something like that, we didn't have that, so there wasn't even a decision to be made because Haaland was so consistent. But Rashford at home to United is. I think Rashford's just as likely to get points at home to Everton than Haaland is away to Southampton.
The stress of not having Haaland in your team, I just don't know if it's worth it. Honestly, I'm actually broken from what's happened this season when it comes to Haaland. I just can't do it. I think I've got to get him back. I think the one thing, again, like you are in a different position, so it is a little bit different. But for a lot of us that have sold him, the plan is to get him back for Tony. And obviously Tony might even be suspended by the time we get to game week 30. Yep. So he's an issue waiting to happen over it. The charges thing's going to happen, or he's going to pick up that last yellow he needs. So for a lot of us, it's quite an easy move. But I think if you're willing to take the risk, there are players you could captain. Rashford in 30, Kane in 31 against Bournemouth at home. 32, he blanks anyway. Yep. Haaland, this is. And then 33, it is a home game, but it's against Arsenal. So you could look elsewhere. You've got to be the type. You're going
to talk yourself into it.
No, I don't think I am, because I've got Tony. You've got to be the type of manager that can put up with some brutal things happening, because it's just the kind of player Haaland is, isn't it?
Well, I got burnt. I don't know any lessons. That match of day challenge still resonates with me. That hat trick, so painful. I sold it before Palace a couple of weeks ago, and that went all right. I got a bit lucky there. I think the kind of the big balls move this week then is something like Kane and Saka out to a double game week forward. Maybe Havertz and then Saka to Fernandes. Right, that's the kind of attack the gaming move, and then potentially bug yourself going forward. But I would expect Fernandes and Havertz to outscore Kane and Saka this week. But then again, I wouldn't be massively surprised if they were mad. I mean, Kane's got a great record against Everton, even though Spurs are struggling. And these records for someone like Kane as well, I believe them more with someone like him. I feel like he knows about these records and feeds off them a little bit.
Oh, definitely does. Yeah. Well, I mean, how much it impacts him, I don't know, but he'll know all the records, I'd say. I think the one thing with Kane is interesting. Obviously, Conte's gone now, so I don't know if he's been so consistent this season. I don't think he can get better necessarily, because he's only 21 points behind Haaland for the whole season.
Yeah.
But maybe it'll just give the players overall just a bit of a boost, because all the reports that were coming out is just they wanted him gone, and now he's gone. Even though they haven't got a brand new manager in, maybe that might help a little bit, possibly.
That's why you're the FPL GOAT, by the way. Plucking out 21 points behind Haaland, just on a whim.
It's because I used it in a video the other day. I mean, I guess 21 points over 20 weeks maybe is actually quite a lot, but I think considering how good Haaland's been, it's pretty impressive.
It sounded. You said it with confidence. Yeah. It sounded good. Yeah, that's got to be an age in this section. I wasn't expecting that. Let me just show a bench boost 34. So this is kind of a team that people could start working towards, or it might be a team that people wildcarded if they still had that from the week before. But this is sort of kind of the best I could do. I've gone Steele, Van Dijk. I've got 4 Brighton players in here, which obviously you can't do. That's a good start. Imagine Steele someone else. Van Dijk, Estepinian, Ake, Rashford, McAllister, Salah, Fernandes, Haaland, Darwin, De Gea, Trippier, Henry, Venezia. I mean, look at that bench though. That's like a strong 11, but then I couldn't do a better bench than something like that, which is keeping Trippier and Henry.
Is this wildcard 34? Wildcard 33, is it? Or
Potentially, yeah.
yeah.
Or it would be, this would be the kind of team that people would be moved. Because people are going to have quite a few of these players anyway, right? Like Haaland's going to be coming back in, Rashford, you're going to have your triple Brighton players. Fernandes will be in for quite a few people.
Yeah, I think that third forward spot's quite like Vinicius. Even if Mitrovic is banned, I'm not sure I'd want. I don't know if he's good enough to have it.
No, but he's kind of need, if you're going to be going for like Salah, Fernandes, Haaland, Darwin.
Yeah, you need someone cheap.
Yeah,
I've seen people discuss bench boost 34 who wildcarded recently. I think it's way too long to wait. There's too many issues that can happen. Like I wildcarded in 26. And part of it is because it did so well. But I'm regretting even not going in 27 because I'm already having to possibly think about different moves just to get a bench out this week. So to wait another 5-6 game weeks to get to 34, it's just way too long. I just don't think it's
just not worth it. I just don't think it's worth it. I'm thinking this week, if you're bench boosting with Arsenal and Kane, or if you're going to be looking at 34 and bench boosting with Trippier, Henry and Vinicius, and that's potentially on a wild card, what's the kind of point? I don't really see because the main players are going to be the ones that are in your first 11 anyway. You know, your Salah with your 2 home games, your Darwin, your Rashford. You don't need a bench boost for that. If anything, holding the bench boost till then is going to make it even harder to get those players because you're having to fill your bench up with better players. So
I think the only reason to go bench boost 34 is if you've not used it yet, you're not set up for 29 and you're wildcarding in 33, and it kind of makes sense to go the week after because stuff could have changed by then. Or if we happen to get to the press conferences on Friday and they do turn around and say Rashford's out, Botman's out. Yeah. And then suddenly you've got injuries to contend with. Then maybe you just bail on the game week 29 bench boost and wait till 34. But I think for most people, the difference is not big enough to wait that many weeks.
I don't think so.
I just don't see the point.
I think like maybe if there was like loads of City players that we could be considering, and you know that was going to be 2 transfers locked into getting those, you want to be getting your Liverpool players back in. But I mean, again, I don't think it's going to be that difficult to start moving towards some of these players going forward. So. Yeah, to me, 29 bench boost is still very much the play. Yes, I know everyone. There's 4 Brighton players in there. Blame Peter and FPL.team. He let me put 4 Brighton players in. It's his fault. It's definitely not mine. Just imagine, I don't know, Steele is someone else. I think there was a bit of money in the bank. Yeah, Edison. I think there was a bit of money in the bank with this anyway. So, yeah, we can do that. All right, let's take a look at some data going into the double. Let's try and unearth some gems and some differentials in this season, which has not been kind to anyone who's dared to veer off the commonly trod path. But in terms of team data attack over the last 6, look at that. Brighton second. We've been usurped. Arsenal have taken top spot over the last 6, but we're settled snugly between Arsenal and City, with Liverpool United just behind us. But yeah, Brighton captain this week. I mean, the attacking data's good. We're going to look at some play data in a minute, which looks good. McAllister, Matoma, March, all delivering in the last double game week. You tempted?
I think if Rashford's fit, I'm going to go Rashford. But if I don't go Rashford, I don't think I'm automatically just going to put it on Fernandes. I think I will probably go for a Brighton midfielder just because of the fixtures. I wish I had McAllister, if I'm honest. I've got March and Matoma. I just think, I mean, you can tell me, but it looks very likely that McAllister's going to keep playing as a number 10 for the time being. And if he's playing in that position, he just looks real good. So I think he's probably the best option. From my 2 players, March and Matoma, I'm not sure. I'd probably go Matoma over March. But the fact that March has had 2 weeks off, it's kind of tempting me to just maybe look at him. But yeah, I think it's Man United, then Brighton is the best. I mean, you like Maddison, I know. You like Maddison. That's fair. But outside of Maddison, I'd say Man United or Brighton. I just think that the 2... Like, Brentford defence is okay, but I think a home game for Brighton against them is fine. Then the other game is Bournemouth. So, fixture-wise, yeah, I think it looks great.
I mean, we saw McAllister used deeper in the cup game against Grimsby. He clearly wasn't operating as a 10 in that game. He was playing as a deep-lying playmaker role, which he's absolutely incredible at. I do worry against Brentford because they're so relentlessly pressing. One of the best pressing teams in the league. He's not going to have that same freedom that we've seen him have against like West Ham and other teams because we might have to just have him in the middle just to kind of because we're a team that we absorb the press, then we look to play out, and we need him to kind of be between the lines a little bit more. But then against Bournemouth, there's no reason why he can't be, right up the other end of the pitch. I'd expect us to have almost complete control of that game. So I like McAllister in that. I think you can't go wrong with any of them. We saw in the last double, they all got double-digit hauls. They've all got their strengths, all got their weaknesses.
Yeah, I just think if I was picking right now, I probably would go for McAllister, but I don't think there's any rush to sell the ones I've got. So yeah, whichever one when I pick them on wildcard, I basically earmarked Matoma as the number one, and so anytime where I'm going to captain one, I'm just going to automatically go to him and try and not overthink it too much. Just hope it goes my way.
Probably I'm speaking too fast, says Sahil. Sorry, I'll try and. I'm speaking at 1.5 times. I'm trying to get through this because you've got to go at 6:30.
Yeah, sorry, I'm probably delaying you a bit.
That's all right. It's good. Other teams on here. I mean, a lot of the double game week teams are high on the last 6 matches. Attacking days: United, Leicester, Brentford. It's good news. Villa in 9th in the top 10 as well. I mean, it's good news for like Watkins, Tony. People bringing in Maddison. People going with the Double United attack. People like me, or if there's anyone like me with Salah still there. Maybe there's still some Nunes owners out there. It's looking primed for a good double game week in terms of goals. And we're going to talk through our predictions in a bit as well. We've both gone for a lot of goals in this game week. It should be a high scoring one. 200 points for some people.
Yeah, bench boost, I guess. Yeah. Maybe. Could get close. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think there's some, like I said, good fixtures. I think even, like you said, Salah could be decent, even though the fixtures are tough. Leicester, and I think it's just not worth overthinking with Brighton. I think they got 2 good fixtures on paper, even Brentford at home. And yeah, could be double-digit hauls for all my players. Hopefully.
Oh, that'd be nice with them. Well, unless they're different to my ones. West Ham down in 16th. Any other one I want to mention here? For people taking punts on the likes of Ings and Bowen, you just wish that was a bit higher. I wish the signs were there for the fixtures are decent and they're going to be flying under the radar. But yeah,
that's just a punt, isn't it? It's just a punt for someone that wants to go a bit different. I don't see any issue with the 2 fixtures, but not long-term picks for me.
Yep. Defence, Liverpool in 4th, which is a surprise, but they have been keeping the clean sheets. I'm still struggling to regard them as a good defensive side this season, but the signs are there. I mean, they're over the last 6, they're conceding on the expected goals anyway, less than a goal a match, which is half the likes of Bournemouth, down on 1.99. Brighton in 5th, again likelihood of returns at both ends of the pitch. Steele won't. I think I'm probably going to go for Steele. I've got to get rid of Ward for someone. I was thinking Areola, but I think it's probably just going to go for Steele. There's people a bit worried about his minutes, but Sanchez in the cup, my God, he should have been sent off. He comes out of his area and grabs the ball. It's like, oh my God, he gets sent off in that. And then I think we're only 1-0 up at the time. That's not going to impress De Zerbi. So I think Steele is definitely safe for that double. And then you've got Brentford, Newcastle, Chelsea, West Ham in 10th. So defensively look better. People talk about Zuma, aren't they? I'm seeing him mentioned.
Yeah, it's interesting, because West Ham have not had a good season at all. But I'm always looking at the expected goals conceded and stuff just over the season. And West Ham have been right up there, top 5, top 6 defense for the season. It just hasn't gone that way results wise. So again, I think if you want a defender with a bit of goal threat, you can't go much further on than someone like Zuma. It's just how many times you'd play him after this week, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we are going to look at defenders in a minute, and I can assure you it's going to be a short section because there's no one really that stands out. So someone like Zuma, might actually be quite an interesting option. Leicester down in 15th as well. I mean, they've been poor defensively all season, despite that weird spell where Ward was keeping clean sheets every week. Everson is, an option because the double game looks good, but again, the stats aren't amazing. I'm still surprised to see Villa so low down on this. They have climbed off bottom. They're now 19th as well. Who have they got? They've got Chelsea and Leicester.
Yeah, both away.
Yeah, not easy for them. So
Man United though, bad. That Man United, that's got to be. Yeah, I'm looking here. A lot of that. The Liverpool game was real bad.
Real bad.
And then one of the away game against Leeds was really bad as well. So outside that, they've done all right. But Casemiro's not there, so I get why people have got a few concerns. He's going to miss the next 3 games. So he's going to miss game week 30 as well.
He's basically not there against Liverpool as well. Awful.
No one was.
Quickly on keepers, I've just marked the double game at keepers. De Gea is actually top in terms of points per 90, which is pretty impressive. Steele in second, though, obviously a fraction of the price. Alisson is there as well. I mean, could go for Alisson, set yourself up for the Dublin 34 as well, but two tough away games this week. Can't see him getting too many points in those. Got Kepa down in 18th, who I've still got as well. Raya, who you've got in 12th. I mean, there's not a huge amount in it between these players. There never is in terms of goal. But yeah, I've basically got the choice of picking any goalkeeper I want for 1 week. Who do you go for?
Yeah, I think because you got the wild card, I would just take the risk on Steele. I can't see him. I think Steele and Everson are very likely just to play the rest of the season, but there has to be some doubt there because obviously they've switched once, so they could switch back. But if I'm just going 29 bench, that's what you're doing, right? 29 bench moves, is it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I would just get Steele. I'm sure he's going to play both games, and then maybe when you wild card, you go a bit safer and go for 3 other Brighton picks instead.
Yeah. I think I was wanting to go for Areola and be someone a bit different, but. Yeah, I think Steele is
as a longer term pick for someone that doesn't have a wild card. I really like De Gea as an option because you've got 3 double game weeks before the end of the season, and most, especially if you're free hitting in 32, most of Man United's single game week fixtures are pretty good as well.
Yeah, if I was doing my transfer this week without a wild card and getting goalkeeper, I'd get De Gea for sure.
Yeah,
really I mean, I'm considering anyway just for this week, but I think I'll go for Steele. But yeah, I think he's the best long term pick going forward. Defense, this is a bit bleak. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, when number 1 is Daniel Amate, you know that it's a funny season for defenders. Tomkins in second. Porro, we won't go into him. We'll talk about him at some point, but yeah, no doubles on the horizon for now, so we can kind of ignore that. Shaw's down in 13th. Player you're looking at. Dallow's actually in 6th in terms of expected goal involved, but non-penalty as well. Has he got his place back, Dallow?
Dallow's a no-go. I think Wan-Bissaka has done enough now that I don't even know who's first choice, to be honest, but Wan-Bissaka is going to get enough minutes that Dallow's not an option.
Why risk it? Just go for sure. Find the extra money from somewhere. If you're desperately looking at less defenders, I mean, you've got Pereira and Sotar both there. I mean, Sotar's massive.
You can't go for lesser defenders, even with the fixtures in the next 3.
He's going to score, that guy. There's going to be teams that can't handle him just for his sheer size. And Burns in 26.
Yeah, it's just like you said just a minute ago, the defense has just been so bad all season.
I was looking at it. Look at this list. It's dreadful, isn't it? Absolutely dreadful.
Yeah, I think loads, like, even if you wanted like a Liverpool defender for 34, there's no point in getting them now because they've literally got like 3 of the hardest games next 3. It's Chelsea, City, and Arsenal, and even Chelsea defenders like Chilwell and James. I'm a little bit worried about them maybe missing the odd game because they've got Champions League coming up again soon as well. So there's not really too many defenders that kind of stand out as must-have right now.
Nope, agreed. Estepinian, you worried about him?
A little bit. I think the game was on Tuesday, so he could even be back in the UK by now. So I'm hoping he'll be all right. You don't really have any other out-and-out left-backs. I know Colwill came on for him in the FA Cup, so I guess he could play him again. But I've got to keep him. I think anyone that's got him, you just keep him. Maybe if I was buying a Brighton defender this week, I'd maybe go a bit safer and just pick Dunk.
I think at half time in the cup as well.
Awful. I wasn't happy about that at all. But I don't know. From the couple of games I've seen recently of Brighton, I think he's played pretty well. So I didn't see that FA Cup game. Maybe he was just awful.
He was.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
but I feel like he'll get another chance because who else is going to play there in that, especially like in that kind of attacking way that he plays? There's just no one else there. Even Lamptey, who I think has been played there at one point. He's injured right now, right?
Yeah.
He's always injured.
We haven't got anyone that can play there.
Yeah, so I'm hoping he'll be fine. Hopefully he doesn't suffer. I actually asked on the video, I talked about that. I've never flown that long. I was like, let me know. And I've got, it affects different people different ways. That's no issue at all. Oh, it's really bad. So I don't know. I'm just gonna hope that he plays both games.
I don't think it's making any difference. I think De Zerbi will either play him or not. I mean, yeah, he was bad in that game, but like I said, the lack of options does massively help him. He scored a bloody penalty, didn't he? For Ecuador?
Yeah, I think he plays further forward for Ecuador.
Yeah.
I think he's captain as well. So yeah, it was. I think it was his first penalty he's taken for him.
I think, I think
get McAllister off penalties.
I think it will be an area that we need to address next season, because he's a lot better attacking than he is defending. That's just a fact, and we haven't got any other options. So I imagine we'd probably buy someone and he'll be relegated to the bench next year. But he's been all right. Just poor against Grimsby, which is
crossing my fingers for 29.
He just couldn't pass. He was just every pass was going into an opposition player. It was a really weird performance. Midfield. Okay, let's try and find some slightly more interesting players here. McAllister is still top of XGI non-penalty per 90, 0.82. That is crazy high.
He's really good. I'm worried about him.
Yeah, it's ridiculously high. He'll be my captain if I don't bring in Maddison. I really like that. Salah in second as well, 0.78, getting back up to the numbers that we like to see, but a lot of that probably comes from the drubbing of United, as usual. Sancho in third.
Yeah, but
he starts.
The problem is this is per 90. Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. He hasn't played. I doubt he's played that many minutes over those games. So, yeah, I don't think he's just too much of a rotation. The only thing that helps, I guess, a little bit is I can't think of his name. Garnacho is injured now, but he usually plays on the left anyway. So any games where Rashford's not playing up front, he's going to be the one on the left. So he's really still fighting on the right side. And then you've got Anthony, Palestri as well. So I don't think you can go for Sancho.
No. Sterling, fifth, 0.66.
I just think Chelsea have got so many attackers. And he's also flagged, by the way, because he didn't go away with England. So he hasn't started either of the last two games. I guess when he's fully fit, he probably is the one that's going to start more regularly. But I just feel like there's too many other good midfielders to warrant a place for someone like Sterling. But as like a shorter term punt, if he's fit for 29, then maybe you could go for him. But he's not someone I'd want to hold too much longer.
He's saying all the right things. I'm just trying to drum up a bit of excitement about some of these.
I know, and I hate it because sometimes I feel like I'm only saying everyone that's obvious. But I thought about this so much for my own team. It's the problem with so many blank and double game weeks in quick succession. Like I said earlier, you get pigeonholed into certain picks, and like you can go for Sterling if he's fit for 29, but then you run straight into Wolves away and Brighton at home is not that bad, but then they blank, and then they got Arsenal away in 34, no double, and their double in 37 is going to be City and United. So it's not even.
No,
I just can't get behind it. I can't see too many midfield punts, to be honest with you.
No, I mean, having the wild card does help because at least you can kind of dead end your team into 30, 31, 32, and then you take a punt on Sterling, he doesn't play, you get rid of him pretty quickly. But I think because a lot of people watching have probably used their wild card, it's much harder to justify. Like
one of the players that who knows, maybe he could have a return, right? Redemption is Son, because he's been so bad this season compared to last season. I don't believe that this is now how Son is, right? He can play better. Conte's gone, maybe that will help. But then it comes down to, okay, but he's like, what, 10 odd million or something? And I don't know how much he is.
He's 11.7.
Is he
so
that
much money? Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So how can you spend 11.7 million on Son with no double game week? So it's like,
I know
it's really hard to go different. I think like Barnes.
Well, this is it. I mean, looking down the list, the differential picks, I think, realistically, are Barnes, Bowen.
Yeah, exactly. Then you're out of ideas.
Yeah, I mean, or maybe Willock features on here. I mean, if you're looking for someone cheap, him and Isak potentially.
Willock? Oh no!
But,
nah.
Is anyone going to get Willock?
No, I think this is called scraping the barrel. I think. I think
to BlackBox, Andy.
but I think we got to be careful about going to like Maddison. I can't imagine is going to be super high owned. I still feel like in the grand scheme of things, he'll be fairly differential ish. So I don't think we should.
What's his ownership? Do you reckon?
Overall, it's 9.9.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Like top 100k or whatever. But yeah,
double that maybe 25%.
Yeah, it'll definitely go up as we get closer to the deadline. But I still it's not like he's going to be a Rashford style ownership. So if you're looking for a bit of a differential with Bournemouth at home in 30, decent option.
Yep. Let's give a bit of context of the Brighton mid. So McAllister's top, 0.82. Extra 0.90, which is crazy high, as I said. March is down in 19th, just below Theo Walcott, Didn't even know he was still in the league until I saw his name on the team sheet the other day.
Scored against Spurs.
Yeah, crazy. Still going. Evergreen. 0.5 for March, which again is still really good. I mean, quite a drop off from where he was. He was matching or even ahead of McAllister a few weeks ago. So there has been a bit of a drop off. And then you've got Matoma down in 27th, 0.45. Not a huge amount in it between him and March. And Pascal Gross creeping into the top 30 as well. If you really wanted to go differential, you could go for Pascal Gross, but he's lost pens to McAllister and operates deeper, so probably not worth it. Forwards, Nunes in second, 0.69. Again, about half where he was a few weeks ago. Jota's there as well, but you're probably not going to go for him. I mean, Nunes, no one is buying Nunes this week.
Nope.
But it's not ridiculous to consider that he might do well, is it? With a double?
No, I mean, if you're backing Salah to do okay, then yeah, Nunez has had pretty good.
If you're thinking of selling Kane, for example, and you want to get a double forward in, Nunes, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I said earlier, I think he is first choice, even when everyone is fit. But his minutes are probably going to come down a little bit once everyone. Like even in the last 3 games, it's like 65, 77. 88 in against Wolves, but I think a few other players were still getting back up to fitness then. So I don't know. I don't want to keep saying no to everyone. Basically, that's the only reason I'm hesitating. I think if you
Take
want
one of my carrots that I'm dangling.
Here's what I'll say: if you want a Liverpool forward, he is the one to buy.
Brilliant,
for sure. But I wouldn't buy him.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Also, I think he got he's flagged as well. Maybe it's an international break injury, but got to be careful about that too.
What about Isak? He's in 15th.
I really wish Newcastle Brighton had gone into game week 31 because I would be doing Kane to Isak this week.
3 goals in 4. He's got
on penalties when Wilson doesn't play.
Yep.
Looks really good. I still think there's a slight doubt about his overall minutes because I don't think Wilson trained the week before the last game. So maybe when he's fully fit, even if Isak keeps starting, he might come off a little bit earlier. But I quite like him. Yeah, I think around that price, less than 7 million, bearing in mind Mitrovic is going to get suspended. Tony is 1 yellow card away from suspension. There's not a huge amount of players at that price point or lower. And he's arguably the best one. So out of all the players you've mentioned, I like Isak. Even without the double. Yeah, even without the double in 31, I think he's a pretty good option. He's got that double game week still to come later on this season. And like you said earlier, for game week 34, for anyone that maybe doesn't have a wild card and can't get up to 11 double game weekers, Newcastle got Southampton at home. So even if you had to play him that week, it wouldn't be the end of the world. It's just a question over whether he gets decent minutes all the time. I just think he's too good for that not to happen.
If I didn't have Tony, and I think like a lot of people I do, there's not going to be many people, but if I was free hitting this week and I was choosing between Tony or Isak, or if I was buying one of those 2 players this week, 100% I'd pick Isak. I'd rather have Isak this week than Tony, is basically what I'm trying to say.
100%, yeah. Fixtures are better. And also, like, we shouldn't forget, Tony could get a yellow card in the first game, then he misses the second one.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to happen. So, yeah, I actually really like Isak, I think.
Oh, good. We found a carrot that you like. That's good. One final question on the Havertz-Felix debate. I mean, there's nothing separating them in terms of their price, 7.6. Nothing separating them in terms of the goals scored over the last 6, 2 goals each. And nothing separating them in terms of the stats. The only thing separating them really is the pens, right, for Havertz. Is that enough for you to lean him if you were going to get one?
Yeah, I think it would be, but it kind of annoys me a bit because when I think Havertz is good, and I think he always seems to like underperform, but I think he's a better player than what his points get. But every time, I've not watched every single game, but every time I have watched Chelsea with João Felix in, he's looked really, really good.
Yeah.
Like I feel like he looks like the better player, but I just don't think he's so good that I would ignore the fact that Havertz has got penalties.
Yeah, neither of them are clinical finishers. That's the thing.
I think, I can't believe how much Chelsea are going through a Brighton under Potter stage right now with the amount of chances they're creating. They're just not converting.
He's cursed. It's the Potter curse.
I feel like João Felix has like hit the woodwork so much. The goals are coming. I just think that I would take the penalties, and it's not like João Felix is up here and Havertz is down there. It's much, much closer than that. So I think you just go with a penalty taker.
Yeah.
Minutes should be good for both of them, I think.
I don't particularly like Havertz as an FPL option, but
you've had bad experiences with him, haven't you? Yeah.
Well, I've had good and bad. I remember that double game week last year when he got me 20 points, I think 21 points, something like that. I think I had him captain as well. That was fun. But then I had him for loads of other times where he didn't do anything.
I think, like you were saying about having Isak over Tony, if I was only picking for this week only, I would take Havertz over Watkins, for example. As a longer term pick, I think I'd probably prefer Watkins still. But for this week, I would definitely take the 2 home games over Watkins.
The forwards is definitely the kind of the potential for a bit of fun this week, isn't it? Because I do genuinely think, I mean, I know you've kind of said no to Nunes, but let's stick him on there anyway because it makes my point better. Nunes, Tony, Ings, Watkins, one of Havertz or Felix, Isak, Solanke potentially. I mean, that's 7 for 3 spots. And then you've got Kane as well, who people.
So I've got
that's 9.
Yeah, I've got Kane. I've got Kane, Tony, and Watkins. Potentially, if I was free hitting this week, I would only have one of them, maybe none of them. So I'd have Havertz, Isak, and then one more, which might be Watkins, but potentially I could go somewhere else. So I do think for this week, there's quite a few forwards to pick from. Whether or not that's the case long term, maybe not so much. But yeah, this week you go different. You could even go double Chelsea, João Felix and Havertz.
Oh, come on, come on! I want to see some free hits in the comments, which are people doing something a little bit different. Double Chelsea up top, triple Brighton defenders. I don't know, something a bit exciting. You got to experiment a little bit with the free hit if you're using it. It's gonna be a fun week this week. I'm looking forward to it.
It will be if we get green arrows.
Yeah.
if you don't get a green arrow of a bench boost, we are in trouble.
Oh God, yeah. I want to see some 200-point scores. I want to see some free hits. I want to see some, some absolute failures. I want to see some.
I want to see
wins.
McAllister playing as a defensive midfielder.
No one wants that. That's awful. Who am I scared about this week? I guess Fernandez is creeping up, isn't he? More and more people sort of getting him in.
I'm scared about selling Saka, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not an idiot. Predictions. We will rattle through these because, we haven't got that long left. I'll just call out some of the interesting ones. I mean, the Garden Centre game I think is the most obvious one, which is West Ham Southampton. That's at 2:00 on a Sunday as well. I think.
I was saying to you before we started that, like, when you sent me the predictions, I've been so fixated on all the double game week teams, I forgot that teams like West Ham and Southampton kind of existed for this until I had to do the predictions. I had to go and look how they've been recently. Yeah.
Let's go through some of the double game week teams just quickly, just look at our predictions for those. So Brighton-Brentford, we've both gone for a Brighton win, both gone for 2 goals to Brighton. I've given Brentford a goal. I'm hoping, and I think Brentford might play into our hands a little bit, and then we should win that one. We've done well against the high pressing sides of this season, so hoping for a result against them. And then against Bournemouth, you've gone for a 3-1 Brighton, I've gone for a 2-0. So you've gone for 5 goals for Brighton over these 2 matches. I've gone for 4. Attacking stats are good. All their attackers in the top 30. Like we keep saying, it just looks a good week for them. And with Rashford kind of flagged as well. They're the obvious secondary punt, I think. We'll talk about captaincy a bit more in a minute, but yeah, I do quite like the idea of that. Leicester Palace, I've gone for a 3-1 Leicester, you've gone for a 2-1. And then in their second game, I've gone for a 2-1 Villa, and you've gone for a 2-2. So again, you've gone for 4 goals for.
Should we get Madison in, shouldn't I?
I know.
I think when I was doing these, I actually thought about putting 3-1 for Palace like you did, but then I remembered that Roy Hodgson's in charge now, so I put 1 goal less. That's basically why.
That's a good way of doing it. Yeah. Well, I wasn't going to give them any goals because of the Roy Hodgson effect, but then I remembered it's Leicester, so I gave them 1. So it went the other way to you.
And also, they were rubbish under Hodgson in defence last time he was there. So I really don't get the move, but it's probably a conversation for a different podcast. That.
Yeah. I just, like I keep saying, I like Madison this week. I think those 2 fixtures are really nice. We've also got Chelsea. I've gone for a 1-0 against Villa. You've gone for a 2-0. And then Liverpool. I've gone for a 1-0 Liverpool. You've gone for a 1-1. So not a huge amount of. You talk about the double Chelsea attackers, but not a huge amount of expectation on lots of goals for them. And Liverpool's defence is looking decent. So 2 home games though, but yeah, not easy.
Yeah, I think I still think Havertz is a pretty good pick. Like 3 goals, if you can be involved with one of those. I mean, the thing with a double game week is you can just have 1 goal involvement and quite easily still get to like 10 points. So yeah, I still like Havertz this week, even though I predicted slightly lower.
Yep. And then let's just mention Newcastle as well. So they've got United, the Carabao Cup replay, you could call it. I've gone for a 1-1. You've gone for a 2-1 United. And then West Ham Newcastle, you've gone for a 1-1. And I've gone for a 1-0 Newcastle. So you've got double Newcastle defence, no clean sheets for them?
Yeah, no
Good.
clean sheets. Yeah.
Good.
That's what I hate about doing predictions. I'm like, okay, will I predict how I want it to happen for my team? Yeah, I guess like I'm a bit worried, but you've got Trippier for the attacking potential, and there's also like another double to come. So that's why I guess we're carrying them through. But it is a bit of a worry. I think Man United score for sure. I don't see any issues there. It's whether or not they can get one away to West Ham, I guess.
Yeah, we've both gone for a lot of goals. If you look across this, lots of teams getting 2, some teams getting 3. So yeah, hopeful for a good game week 29. Let's take a look at the captain matrix. So Rashford is the obvious choice, I think, if he's fit. But then there's plenty of other options that we talked about. Fernandes is a differential option as well, even within the same side. You've got the 3 Brighton players. Salah, potentially. Salah's always an intriguing differential. Maddison as well. Havertz, Bowen. Lots of choice. I'm between... I don't think I'm going to give it to Rashford. And... Well, but then, I don't know. I might do.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is that because you don't think he's that great an option, or are you just trying to think a bit different?
No, trying to think a bit different. I do think Newcastle. I've got Newcastle away to be quite tight, and then we saw what Brentford did to United. In the first couple of games of the season, it was. But you haven't got you didn't have Casemiro, and you haven't got him again. Yeah,
true. But it was really bad. I can't imagine. I mean, Brentford are great though, so maybe.
I'm not saying you lose 4 or 5, but I don't think it's going to be a steamrolling. I don't think Rashford's going to go berserk in either of those 2 games, and I think Brighton score more goals and Leicester score more goals than United do. That's my thinking.
So I actually agree. Probably says it in the prediction. I don't necessarily think that Man United will go and score more goals than Brighton, for example, but I think Rashford is more likely to score than any of the Brighton players. So that's my main thinking there. But I got to be honest, it's not. Sometimes you get those weeks where the captain's so obvious, like you've really got to want to go different. I don't think that's one of those weeks. I think if you want to go for a Brighton midfielder or someone like Maddison, I don't think it's the worst week to try something a little bit different. I'm sure Rashford will be the highest effective ownership this week. I'm sure that's pretty much certain, but I don't think there's any issue with going any of the Brighton players or Maddison or someone like that.
Yep.
To be honest.
It'll be fun when you get mercilessly punished when you go for Maddison or March. The worst thing that could happen is you go for like a Brighton mid, you watch the other 2 Brighton mids go absolutely berserk, and Rashford go berserk, and then yours gets like 3 points.
Yep.
FPL.
Or they score, it gets given, and then it gets taken away as an own goal, and then it gets given back. Imagine that and missing out on like an 18-pointer.
That was ridiculous. Oh, it's good that March owners still, recovered from that.
Never forget that. I'm still waiting for my Edison assist as well.
I love people like bringing up like the rules from like years ago when they gave in a similar situation the goal.
I knew it was never going to get given, but it's nice. It's nice to kind of remind them that they messed up a few times.
Yeah, good. Keep drumming it in. And then just some of the other captains over the next few weeks. So Haaland is going to be coming back in for a lot of people in game week 30, but you have got the Rashford Everton, kind of differential, if you want to call it that. Maddison v Bournemouth as well. Kane versus Brighton. These are all potential options if you're not moving back to Haaland, but not going to be easy viewing, as you said. In game week 31, it's Haaland versus Leicester at home, and then it's like Saka's away at West Ham. Fernandes and Rashford are away at Forest. That's not easy. I mean, Kane's got Bournemouth. But...
Yeah, that's the one I'm kind of half earmarking. But if I keep getting green arrows next couple of weeks, I don't think I'll look to go too much different, to be honest. So I do like that though, and maybe Salah against Leeds, I guess.
Yeah. And then 32 is a fun one. Saka v Southampton, Salah versus Forest. Maddison versus Wolves. You've got him. Tony, if he's not banned by then. Villa at home. Yeah, and no Haaland obviously. So and no Brighton players. So some
I'm
Rashford.
free hitting that week. Triple Arsenal, triple Liverpool, and I'm going to captain Salah.
Yeah.
I think I've already decided on that.
That's going to be a fun free hit week, I think, because we're going to be picking some random players and captaining someone potentially. Yeah, a bit interesting. Captain's data for this week. So looking at the stats this season and over the last 6, we talked about McAllister. He's at the top over the last 6. He's at the bottom over the season, which just shows the kind of the role reversal he's had really under De Zerbi particularly. Lately, Haaland's at the top. Surely not going to captain Haaland. Rate my team on Scout is saying bench Haaland. So that'd be bold. If people not bench boosting, give Haaland a little benching.
I think it's one of those. I said to you earlier, right? If you were bench boosting this week and you had Haaland, you probably could make a case that if you put him on the bench, that's kind of realistic. But if you weren't bench boosting, would you really go through with putting him on the bench? A lot of people wouldn't, and they would just play him anyway. So, but I agree. Like, especially if he's a doubt, I feel like he is benchable.
Yep. Looking at the stats basically over the season and the last 6, sort of a combination of both. Salah, Tony, Rashford are kind of your most consistent players. So yeah, Rashford featuring there is tempting. Salah's an interesting one if you still got him. But yeah, the player stats, at least point to Rashford as being the pick. In terms of opponents, I've just highlighted what I think are potentially the best doubles. If you're looking at the season data, I think Leicester have got the best double against Villa and Palace. They're the 2 teams kind of at the top of the chart, which means they've got the leakiest defences. If you're looking over the last 6, it's probably Newcastle with the best double, United and West Ham. But then a lot of that United, poor defensive stats comes from that big dropping. But yeah, potentially an Isak captain if you're one for looking at the recent figures. But yeah, other than that, it's quite spread out. There's teams with like one sort of rougher defence, then one sort of better one. So not any kind of too obvious. But yeah, it's another reason why I do like the look of Maddison as well. Look at Brighton, for example, Bournemouth.
You're definitely going Maddison. You've said it so many times that I find sometimes I'll say something and I really deep down I know I'm going to do it. I just haven't.
Yeah.
I just haven't been able to tell myself that's going to happen. Like deep down, I know it's going to happen, but
the only reason I won't do it is because I do also want to captain McAllister. So
yeah, he's great. So
yeah, I don't think I'd sell Saka to Maddison and not captain him. I think if I'm going to do that for a hit, it would be to do for the captaincy. But then I always feel horrible about those moves because then I think, well, then McAllister's got to do worse than Maddison, and he's got to repay the hit and all this kind of stuff, and it really kind of works out. So I'll probably just leave it, to be honest. But I'll be cursing my bad luck next week when Maddison hits 4 goals. We've got a bit of time. We've got 6 minutes. That's fine.
Don't panic.
No,
might be able to go 5 over. 5 over.
Oh, 5 over. Very, very generous.
Although I think my wife has just found a dog, and that's why my dog is barking so much.
Found a dog?
Yeah, stray dog. See a picture of it. It's like a golden retriever. See here? Oh, it doesn't come out because of the light.
A little bit. Is that glowing? Where's she found? What? Just in the park?
Well, that's my. That's just outside our estate. I was trying to picture where it was. Anyway, sorry. I'm saying we haven't got much time. I'm derailing you over a golden retriever, but I think it's escaped in the estate.
I speak to everyone when I say that a stray dog is much more exciting than anything.
Especially a golden retriever.
Yeah, I do love a golden retriever. Your team this week, we don't need to spend too much time on this because we've covered most of it anyway. But yeah, your team looks pretty strong, doesn't it? Kepa, Chilwell, Trippier, Botman, Estepinian, Mitoma, March, Rashford, Saka, Watkins, Tony, and a bench of Raya, Gabriel, Kane, and Odegaard. Looks good.
Yeah, I think my moves will end up being like right now. If I had to make them in the next 5 minutes, it'd be Saka to Fernandes and Gabriel to Shaw. Like I said earlier, I'm not necessarily 100% confident, but I know I'm going to want to make those moves sooner rather than later. So I'm just going to do it this week. And Odegaard, I'd much rather sell him than Saka, but I don't know if it's the end of the world because I could see myself like in Game Week 33 benching Odegaard against Man City away. And so I'd probably be happier doing that than having to bench Saka. So I don't think it's the end of the world. That's probably what I'm going to do. I have looked at a -12 where I get rid of every single Arsenal player I own and Kane, but I feel like it's trying to buy too many points for the future. And so if stuff happens between now and 34, there's a chance that hit won't pay off. I think I like the fact you've got Salah as a differential. I just can't see myself taking too many hits to get him for what on paper is such a bad double.
Yeah, I know.
Even though he's fully like he could come away with 15 plus points easy because he's guaranteed to play penalties, etc. But I just don't think I can go through with it. I think I'm just going to wait and get him in 34 instead. The only thing that will change is if Haaland's ruled out for a couple of weeks and I don't have to worry about getting him back until 34.
Yeah.
But I suspect he'll be fine.
Yep. Alvarez could be an option then for people.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, nice. My team, it's pretty similar to yours, to be fair. Kepa in goal and Chilwell, Trippier, Botman, Henry, Rashford, McAllister, currently captain. Salah, he's my big differential on pretty much everyone. Matoma, Watkins, Tony, and a bench of Ward, Zinchenko, Saka, and Kane. Definitely doing Ward to another goalkeeper to play the bench boost, probably Steele. And then maybe Saka to Maddison for a hit. And captain. Maybe. I would say probably not.
I think it could be. I get why it's tempting even without captaincy, to be honest. I feel like with a wild card, it's... I don't know. The thing is, even on wildcard, you're probably not going to get Saka back if you wildcard soon. I don't think you will. So it's not like it's a long-term move. I don't know.
I know.
I feel like it's one of those you'll do in the end because at the end of the day, we all want double game week players.
I think because my plan is to wildcard probably still in 30. Because my team is so... Because I've got so much funds everywhere, it's going to be hard for me to move for Haaland unless I do Salah out. But then I kind of want Salah anyway. Like I feel if I could wildcard, I could bring Haaland back in, keep Salah.
Well, you could do Kane to Haaland, right? Keep Salah.
Yeah, I could do Kane. But hasn't he got, who's he got in 30?
Brighton at home, then Bournemouth at home. Oh, sorry, who are we talking about now?
Kane in 30? Who's he got?
Yeah, Brighton at home and then Bournemouth at home versus Southampton away, Leicester at home for Haaland. You could do that. I guess the question is what... Well,
I like having Kane, though.
The thing is, I get it. Your team's not that dissimilar to mine. I feel like my team's going to be able to get through 30 to 33 okay. So you could just dead end into 33 maybe, or into game week 32, sorry, and then wild card in 33. But I think the thing is, if you're bench boosting this week, you could even save your wild card potentially till 34 because you've got no other chips to use, right?
Yeah. The only thing is Haaland. That would be that would be the main reason to use it because I think I'd be reluctant to sell Salah or Kane. I could move back because I was doing quite well. My best weeks this week this season have been when I've had 3 premiums.
Have you got your free hit still?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like wildcarding just to get Haaland back is quite a lot.
It is, isn't it?
I feel like I would just do Kane to Haaland and just like lots of people are going to have Kane, but they're not going to have Salah, and I feel like Salah's capable of doing just as good.
Yeah. Yeah, you might be
but then again, I am Salah's number 1 fan, so I would say
that. It's not. Yeah, you're the one person I didn't need on this podcast to tell me about Salah, but no, actually, it's quite reassuring. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not completely locked into the wild card in 30, but that was the plan. But yeah, I'm happy to be a bit flexible with it. But yeah, Haaland's got to come back in. You're right though. Kane might be. I didn't even thought about selling Kane. To be fair, he's been so good for me, but. Yeah, maybe that's the way to go. Anyway, I'll be doing the team selection video on Scout tomorrow, so I can deliberate this a bit more and not get anywhere, which is what normally happens, and then make the wrong decision. That's normally what happens.
That's what we love about FPL.
Oh,
Spend like weeks and weeks of thinking about moves, do the different ones that then get punished.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. We're nearly at the end. BlackBox League. Yeah, some changes in here. Don't know how many of these are in your league. Andy, I've been trying to encourage them to leave yours and stay in ours, so we can climb up the ranks. But yeah, you're in the top 5 leagues, aren't you?
I think so. I actually don't know. Top actually. I genuinely didn't know. I didn't know that. I don't check it as much as you think.
You see why we want you to leave? It doesn't even care.
I do care, but it only matters at the end of the season, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, we won it last year. Just a reminder.
I know.
To be fair, I don't think we even realised until the last day of the season that we were up there. Ali Hangarov is top. Joanne Hales-Owens in second. Andrew Shaw in third. Oyston Valavic in fourth. Familiar names. Mark Bleakley in fifth. Alex Keating in sixth. Mark McAfee in seventh. Arav Mandrata in eighth. Vicky Davis in ninth. And Vinnie Kang in 10th. It's going to be really interesting to see if anyone can catch up to Ali, who's 50-ish points, 49 points-ish clear in first. And then it's very tight, so the rest of the down. But yeah, pivotal week. Come on, we want to see some 200 points going forward in this week as well. So yeah, good luck to everyone in this league, and yeah,
50 points clear overall, is it? Like
no, 50 points clear in the league.
Oh.
Ali's 50 points clear of Joanne. I think
Gotcha.
I think he's like third in the world or something ridiculous.
Ali, no, he's number 1.
Ali's number 1.
Yeah, 6 points ahead of second place.
Ooh, Ali
actually smashed second place. I think they got chips left as well.
Ali,
yeah, what 3 hit left, second wild card.
1. He wasn't number 1 when we did this last time. He was 4th. Wow, went up to 1st in the world in GW28.
And lots of chips left.
Wow, fantastic. Keep going. Keep it going. Amazing. In more somber news, though, just to finish the stream, I just wanted to point out something that Gianni posted earlier, which is a friend of his who's contributed to Scout videos in the past. He was involved in FPL Diary, the book that Gianni co-wrote as well. He's sadly been diagnosed with a brain tumour and not given that long to live, but they are raising funds, him and his family, to help fund a vaccine, which will hopefully give him a longer life. And if that money if the vaccine isn't available, then that money will be used as a kind of bucket list for him. So he's kind of one of our own. He's been involved in the FPL community. He watches everyone's streams. He interacts with people and everything as well. So yeah, really sad. And Mark and I'll be making donations to that off the back of BlackBox. But if you want to get involved in that, there's a link to the Just Giving page in the description. Also, you can contact Gianni at Gianni Batici as well and see if there's anything you can do to raise money or help out. Any kind of contributions you can give will be much appreciated. But yeah, one of those sombering moments in the Twitter world, which is obviously awful. And yeah, my sympathies to him and everyone.
Yeah, I can do it. Absolutely. I hadn't seen that until you just mentioned it, so I'll go and take a look at that in a minute. Yeah. I'll retweet it now as well.
Yeah, really sad. Yeah. Right. That's the right button. That's it. Andy, look at that. I promised you an hour and a half. I delivered an hour and 34 minutes.
Not bad.
Not bad. But yeah, thanks for joining me. It's always great for us to catch up from our old Scoutcast days. My first ever stream was with you and Joe and Mark. And yeah, look where we are now. It's quite nice, isn't it?
Exactly. Living the dream.
Living the dream. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and thanks to everyone for watching as well. I say hopefully Mark's coming back next week. I'm not doing another episode without Mark because I can't do the 100th episode of BlackBox without Mark. Yeah. So if Mark isn't back next week, there won't be a BlackBox. We'll just have to wait for him to be available again. I don't know when that will be. But, we need to bust out the suits and the celebrations and the Prosecco for our 100th episode. So hopefully he'll be back next week. But if not, we might be on a bit of a hiatus from BlackBox. But yeah, thanks for all of your messages. He appreciates all the love he's been getting as well. And hopefully he'll be back soon. But until then, Andy, come on, give me your smash and like.
Smash and like. Actually, I noticed. I actually noticed. Yeah, you're very close to 30,000 subscribers. So you've got to hit the subscribe button because otherwise you won't get like a massive score in Game Week 29.
Exactly. Thank you very much. And look, I even prepared this.
Give the video a like. Hit subscribe.
It might be a bit of a delay. Mark put together a little picture of you in the corner that comes up.
Oh yeah, I can see it now. Sorry, yeah. Okay. Give the video a like, hit subscribe.
If you weren't willing to do it, then there is. But yeah, we are close to 30,000 subscribers. So do make sure you're subscribed if you're not already, and tell your friends about us and try and get them to subscribe as well. Because if we can go into the 100th episode having hit 30k, that'd be amazing. Anyway, Andy, thank you very much, and we'll catch up soon. And yeah. Good luck in Game Week 29, everyone.
Bye.